Hey guys, it's Kelly here with Good Dogs Minnesota, and I am actually leaving Minnesota. I've left Minnesota. I'm actually in Wisconsin right now, taking a little trip south for some dog fun, as well as to visit some family. And of course, all of my good ideas come in the car, right? I spend a lot of time in the car going to clients, and so I was just thinking a lot about some things, and especially some conversations that have been happening over Facebook lately. I'm not going to look at you a bunch because I'm actually driving right now. I'm on the interstate, so it's pretty easy, so don't worry. Something has been really bothering me, and I saw it in a group on Facebook, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. I actually deleted my Facebook icon on my phone, the app on my phone, because I was realizing I was spending so much time on my personal page in dog training groups arguing. And not arguing in a mean way. I try to be really, really diplomatic and really professional, but it was just stressing me out. So I found one argument to be particularly interesting, and that is it's about pure positive training. And if you're not familiar with the different types of training, we call positive training. I think that there's a spectrum in positive training. I think that some people would look at me and say that I'm a positive trainer. However, I'm not a pure positive trainer, right? A pure positive trainer means that you only use one or two quadrants of learning theory, which in simple terms, it means that you only reward behaviors that you like. And in theory, behaviors that you don't like will stop. They won't happen, right? And you don't have to punish, you don't have to correct, you don't have to tell the dog no. And I think that's really on the far side of the spectrum of kind of maybe kind of a zealot type of thinking. But I definitely identify as a balanced trainer, which means I use both. I use all four quadrants. I try to be versatile in what I do and how I deal with each individual dog. It's not always easy to be versatile and deal with each individual dog unless you have all the time in the world, but I try my best. I definitely, like I said, I identify as a balanced trainer, but I'm not married to tools, and that's the thing that I think I don't think it sets me apart, but I think it kind of puts me more in that positive end of things. The only tool that I really I am an advocate for are e-collars, especially if you want an off-leash dog. Like I wouldn't take a client that says they want an off-leash dog and not put the dog on an e-collar. I think that's irresponsible. I think e-collars are amazing tools for all types of behaviors, and when used properly, they can save dogs' lives and they can make dogs' lives 100 times better. But other than that, I don't marry myself to one particular tool. And the reason is because of my background. I started in animal training, exotic animal training. So I am very, my first training experiences were with clickers and hot wires separating me from the animal. I started working mostly with bears, and then I did big cats for a while, and then wolves. I did some wolves. All of which we only did positive training, right? You don't usually correct an animal physically. We do some negative punishment, so meaning that we don't give a reward for behaviors we don't like. Okay, sorry, my GPS decided to go off. I had to stop there. But so I'm very familiar with clicker training, with marker training, with reward schedules, right? Learning how to keep the animal motivated by not rewarding all the time. And that's how I got my start. So when I went into dog training, that's how I started training dogs. And personally, because I started getting into tools after a few years after I had been involved with dog training. So when I learned, you should, I don't know, like using a prong collar to crate train a dog, to get a dog to go in the crate, or using a prong collar. I'll use prong collars because it's used a lot, and a lot of people know what they are, to teach the boundaries of doorways. doorways, right? Doorway, threshold training. I had already been doing that without those tools. So I didn't see the point in actually bringing those tools into play until the dog had a really good understanding of what was going on first. Because if you get a really good understanding, adding pressure seals the deal right there, right? And then with some other things, you can do pressure first, and then you can add food, and that seals the deal. But a lot of stuff, you don't have to. I guess I don't know. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent there. But pure positive is a big thing now. It was all the rage, I think, in the 90s, and we're starting to kind of veer away. The pendulum's starting to swing. It was actually really, really compulsive, back in the 50s and 60s, and then it went to this pure positive, never say no to the dog, and now it's kind of coming into the middle. And I think us coming out as balanced trainers, there's definitely a huge spectrum still. One of the arguments that I saw on a Facebook page that I wrote this big thing, and then I ended up just deleting it and getting away from the argument, was that if you can control a zoo animal, right, and they used marine mammals as an example with pure positive training, why would you need to ever use an e-collar, a prong collar, and whatever other torturous device that they were talking about, And I was like, what? I absolutely was stunned by the comparison, right? Because I also came from that field. So, for example, if I have a tiger in the box, right? And a box is we refer to the whatever area that we have that we can be close enough to the animal to interact with the animal and give it rewards. And they can hear the clicker, they can hear us. So it's pretty much a physical barrier, but we're in the same room, right? And if I'm in there working my tiger for tricks and teaching him things and using my clicker and rewarding for behaviors I like, probably teaching behaviors that will assist in veterinary exams, I don't have to worry about Joe Blow walking up behind me with another tiger, right? I hope I don't have to worry about a off-leash tiger running up on us, right? I don't have to worry about bikes and children and other tigers or dogs or people or cars, right? I don't have to worry about any of that stuff because I'm in a really sterile, controlled environment, which is why using only rewards works. And going into marine mammals live in a very, very, very sterile environment, very stimulus sterile environment. I personally think the marine mammals today, it's unethical, we should stop doing it. I think it's a more complicated issue than just free them all, but we won't get into that. But it's on YouTube, right? Go onto YouTube and type in pelican, it's probably pelican and orca pool. And there's a show at SeaWorld, and the animals are doing their thing. The trainers are there, the music's going, right? And you're like, oh wow, look at the great orca, he's doing all this great stuff. They're best friends, they love each other. And this pelican, bloop, comes down and plops himself right in the middle of the orca tank. And guess what happened? That show was shut down. Why? Because immediately, within 20 seconds, those whales left their trainers and ripped that pelican apart in front of thousands of children. And there was nothing that those trainers could have done to stop that. There's no amount of reward they could have possibly presented to those orcas that was going to change that particular behavior at the time, right? So it doesn't work. The other thing, and if you want to get into ethics, which why not? Let's get into ethics. Oh, I'm gonna take my exit. Hold on. Hey, sorry, my GPS went a little rogue. Another thing that I was gonna say is that let's go back to the tiger in the box situation, or hey, polar bears. I'm from Minnesota, obviously, and the Como Zoo, which is in St. Paul, has the country's only 2 polar bears trained for veterinary exams. So they are what we call voluntary. They do voluntary veterinary work, meaning that they have trained the bears to present their paws in a little box outside of their enclosure. I believe they've trained them to stick their faces up so that, and they can do eye exams and ear exams and teeth exams and open their mouth for teeth exams, which is super cool because they don't have to put the bears out under anesthesia to do this work, which is obviously safer for the bears, especially with the bears being so old. They're old. I don't know if they practice on a daily basis, but I'm darn sure they practice on a weekly basis. And so they'll have little training sessions where the bears kind of go through their routine, so to speak. And at the end, they get their little treat or whatever. And if the bears don't want to work that day, they don't have to, right? No big deal. If marine mammals don't want to work and their work depends on the park making money, they withhold their food until they are hungry enough to do their routines to get their food. I'll let that ethical dilemma just resonate for a second. But obviously, just deciding not to listen one day is not an option for our dogs. Most of the time, depending on the situation, right? If I ask my dog to sit and he's like, I really don't want to, and I have to tell him again, not a big deal, right? He sits, whatever, he's gonna sit. But if, let's say I had a dog that is reactive to people and I'm working with that dog to just do the nice heel, trying to walk through, add some distractions, they can't just decide, I really don't want to listen today, I'm gonna go try to eat that old lady. I'm gonna bark and lunge at that little yelpy dog walking down the street. We don't have that option with our dogs, right? And it's not fair to put dogs in sterile environments and then say, well, look, you don't have to use these. You don't have to use correction. You don't have to use these tools. You don't have to ever say no to the dog. And I've seen the pictures on Facebook. I've seen pictures of, all these, these dogs with their front pole harnesses on, which are negatively reinforcing tools, by the way. With an owner with a treat bag, and there's nothing going on. They're in the parking lot. There's, nothing. And I'm like, sure, yeah, that's great, but let's put a rabbit in the middle of that circle. Let's put a cat. Let's put a little kid on a bike singing like my daughter does all the time, and see how many dogs we have keeping a loose leash. And let's add a barking dog. Let's add a barking, lunging dog to the mix and see how much those dogs hold a leash, right? Or keep a loose leash. And that's not setting the dog up to fail. It's setting the dog up to succeed. Training a dog, let's say to heel, and adding distraction and saying, nope, you don't need to do that right now. Your job, that's none of your business. Your job is to pay attention to me, pay attention to what we are doing together, is not setting the dog up to fail. It is setting the dog up to succeed in the future. And a dog that is successful in those situations in the future can have a much longer and happier life and not live in a completely sterile, controlled environment. Like marine mammals. Alright, I'm done. It's been kind of a long time, so I'm going to turn this off. If you like what you heard, please like it, please share it. I think it's really important to have these discussions. I want to make it clear, though, that I'm not against positive training. I'm not against using rewards for training. I enjoy using rewards for training. I enjoy reward mechanisms. I enjoy all the things that I can do to motivate my dog to work for me. And I think that we can get our dogs to work hard with the least amount of tools possible. I think that's a great thing. So, but I think we need to be realistic, and I think that we really need to take the dog into consideration, and we need to have these conversations. All right, so Like and share. Talk to you guys later. Bye.